Have you ever felt like you're running a race you never signed up for, constantly chasing an invisible finish line? You find yourself perpetually exhausted, mentally drained, yet unable to truly slow down? Is your mind a storm of what-ifs and must-dos that never seems to find a moment of peace? Meet John. John was the epitome of the modern go-getter, a man who measured his worth by the length of his to-do list. His days began before dawn, fueled by strong coffee and an even stronger sense of unrelenting obligation. The relentless ping of his phone dictated his rhythm, each notification a tiny electrical shock urging him to move faster. He prided himself on his multitasking, juggling emails during conference calls and planning dinner while replying to urgent texts. His calendar was a mosaic of back-to-back meetings, a testament to his indispensable and exhausting presence. He worked long into the nights, often eating lukewarm takeout at his desk, while the office grew dark around him. The blue glow of his monitor was the only light illuminating his tired, sunken face. Even his weekends blurred into weekdays, catching up on urgent tasks or getting ahead for the coming week. Friends would ask him how he was, and John would always reply with a rehearsed, busy, but good. His definition of good had subtly shifted over the years into something unrecognizable. It no longer meant joy or contentment, but rather the simple absence of an outright mental collapse. He lived in a constant state of low-grade urgency, a hum beneath the surface of his every interaction. One Tuesday morning, John woke with a familiar ache in his chest. Not a sharp pain, but a dull, insistent pressure. He brushed it off as indigestion, a common and ignored companion in his high-speed life. But as he stood to get ready, a wave of dizziness washed over him, forcing him to grip the cold edge of the dresser. His vision blurred at the edges, and for a fleeting moment, the entire room tilted on its axis. He attributed it to lack of sleep or maybe a simple case of morning dehydration. He pushed through the fog, forcing his body to move just as he always did. Later that week, during a crucial presentation, John found himself suddenly fumbling for basic words. His usually sharp recall was fuzzy, his thoughts scattered like autumn leaves in a violent wind. He struggled to retrieve a key statistic, a number he had known by heart just 24 hours before. A prickle of panic, cold and unwelcome, began to creep up the back of his spine. The faces of his colleagues became a blur of judgment as he stood there in an agonizing silence. This wasn't just typical tiredness. Something felt fundamentally and dangerously wrong inside his mind. His sleep, when it finally came, was restless and punctuated by dark anxiety dreams. He would dream of missed deadlines and mountains of unfinished reports burying him alive. He'd wake up more exhausted than when he first lay down on his pillow. He began to notice little things that suggested he was losing his grip on his personality. His temper was shorter, snapping at his colleagues, and even his beloved, confused dog. His patience had evaporated entirely, replaced by a thin, fragile veneer of constant irritation. He stopped enjoying his hobbies, as the simple pleasure of reading a book felt like just another chore. Couldn't focus on anything beyond the next immediate screaming demand on his screen. His doctor, a kind woman with deep, knowing eyes, listened patiently to his long litany of symptoms. She didn't immediately reach for a prescription pad or suggest a new pill. Instead, she drew him a diagram, a simple illustration of the complex human nervous system. She explained how our bodies are wired for acute stress, the sudden burst of energy to escape a physical threat. She used the analogy of a zebra fleeing a lion, a system meant for short life-saving bursts. But she also explained that John's lions were not tangible predators in the grass. His lions were unread emails, shifting deadlines, and the relentless modern pursuit of more. She called his condition chronic stress, a state where the body's emergency system never fully disengages. She spoke of cortisol, the stress hormone, which was now continuously flooding his bloodstream. This constant deluge was subtly but surely dismantling his biology from the inside out. His brain was struggling because chronic cortisol exposure literally shrinks the hippocampus, the center of memory. Shutterstock, it was also dulling his prefrontal cortex, the seat of his complex focus and human empathy. His heart was working overtime every single minute, his arteries slowly thickening under the invisible strain. His immune system, constantly on high alert, was ironically becoming less effective at protecting him. He was now vulnerable to every passing virus because his body had no resources left to fight. The doctor looked at him with a gravity that finally broke through his wall of denial. "John," she said softly. "You're not living fast. You're dying slowly, one stressed-out moment at a time." The words hit John with the weight of a physical blow to the stomach. Dying slowly. He'd always believed he was performing at his peak, pushing his human limits to achieve greatness. He suddenly saw his relentless pace not as a strength, but as a tragic form of self-sabotage. He realized the exhaustion wasn't a badge of honor. It was a desperate warning siren from his soul. His busyness had become a shield, protecting him from the frightening silence of stillness. It had become a chemical addiction, a craving for the biochemical rush of constant fake urgency. The doctor then offered him a new script for his life, not a drug, but a biological protocol. She taught him about the vagus nerve, a hidden pathway to calm that anyone can access. It could be activated by something as simple and profound as deep diaphragmatic breathing. She encouraged him to practice monotasking, giving his full, undivided attention to one single thing. This would allow his fractured nervous system to finally begin the process of resetting. She spoke of genuine human connection as a potent, physical antidote to the poison of stress. And she emphasized gentle movement, like walks in nature, to lower his baseline cortisol levels. John started small, resisting the urge to turn his recovery into another high-speed race. He began scheduling stillness blocks in his digital calendar, moments dedicated to nothing but quiet. He put his phone in another room during meals, truly tasting his food for the first time in years. He reconnected with an old friend, sharing stories and laughter that felt like warm, healing sunlight. He took slow walks in the local park, noticing the intricate rustle of leaves and the chirping of birds. These were sounds and sensations he had tuned out for nearly a decade of his life. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, the heavy gray clouds in his mind began to shift and part. The dull, constant ache in his chest began to lessen until it vanished entirely. His sleep improved, becoming deeper, more restorative, and free of the haunting dreams. His mind felt clearer, no longer cluttered by the static of 1,000 different directions. He rediscovered joy in simple pleasures, like a forgotten melody or the heat of the sun on his skin. The world finally stopped feeling like a treadmill set to a dangerous maximum speed. John learned that true strength isn't about how much stress you can endure before you break. It is about how wisely you choose to inhabit your moments and protect your inner peace. It's about understanding that our biology demands rhythm and balance, not relentless linear acceleration. It's about knowing that sometimes the most productive thing you can do for your future is to stop. If John's story resonates with you, please take it as the sign you have been waiting for. It is a sign to listen to your body and the quiet whispers trying to break through the digital noise. It is a call to reclaim your one and only life from the cold tyranny of constant urgency. Don't let the illusion of living fast kill the reality of your health and your happiness. Choose to slow down, choose to breathe, and choose to truly live before it is too late. Subscribe to Deep Mind Portal for more insights into living a life of balance, depth, and purpose.